Welcome to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, a weekly news podcast covering all the top positive and uplifting news stories. Are you tired of the same old news? Are you sick of the seemingly endless political spin and negativity? We cover stories that will inspire, uplift, and remind you of the good in the world. Tune into the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast to get all the great and positive news stories of today.
Welcome to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Joe. Hello, everybody. How's it going today? I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. My day's been going pretty good. The sun is shining. It feels like summer where I am. I am happy. Life is crazy right now, but busy is good, and so I'm enjoying every moment of it. So I hope you are having a wonderful day as well, and a wonderful week. I guess it is Monday if you're listening to this on the day it comes out. Happy Monday. Happy new opportunity to create any life that you want to live. I love Mondays. I know I've probably talked about this before, but I love Mondays for one reason, being that I get to share all of these amazing stories with you. But also it just feels like a fresh start. Every Monday just feels like a fresh start to me, a new chance to create any opportunity you want and just to have a good week. It's just nice to feel like you can start over at the beginning of your week, I guess. Well, I am back to bring more positive feel-good stories for you. I have lots of good ones today. Of course, I have lots of new studies, some things that have just come out. I've got so many kind gestures and just feel-good things that I think will make your day just that more positive. So let's just jump right into it. I thought I would start today's episode off with a positive COVID-19 story, because those are always nice to hear during our days. So researchers have developed an air filter that is capable of trapping and killing COVID-19. Crazy, right? So the researchers from the University of Houston, they've successfully done this in collaboration to develop a catch and kill air filter that can literally trap COVID-19 and pretty much kill it instantly during the process. So the researchers reported that the test at the National Laboratory in Galveston found 99.8% of the novel coronavirus was killed in a single pass-through of filter made from the commercially available nickel foam heated to 200 degrees centigrade or about 392 degrees Fahrenheit. It also killed about 99.9% of the anthrax spores during tests at the National Lab. They said that this filter could be useful in airports and airplanes, in office buildings, schools, and cruise ships to stop the spread of COVID-19. Its ability to help control the spread of the virus could be very useful for society. I have to say, it's pretty interesting. So the filter that was described in a paper that was just published this past week in a Materials Today Physics, if you want to go read more about it, it was designed with the help of a Zingfine Ren, who is the director of the university's Texas Center for Superconductivity, and Monzer Honay, which is the CEO of Houston-based medical real estate development firm Medistar. So Medistar executives are also proposing a desktop model of the filter capable of purifying the air in an office worker's immediate surroundings as well. How cool would that be? So I guess they approached the Medistar for help in developing the concept of the virus-trapping air filter. This was back on March 31st, just as the pandemic was spreading throughout the United States. Since the researchers knew the virus could remain in the air for about 3 hours, the filter seemed to be a viable plan. And then with businesses reopening, controlling the spread in air-conditioned spaces was very urgent, right? So Medistar also knew that the virus couldn't survive temperatures above 70 degrees centigrade. So that's about 158 degrees Fahrenheit. So the researchers decided to use a heated filter. So by upping the filter temperature to about 200 degrees Celsius, they were able to find the virus almost instantly. So they suggested using nickel foam from the device because it met several key requirements that you need. So the flexible material is porous enough to allow the flow of air while also being electrically conductive, which then allows it to be heated. So since nickel foam has a low resistivity, however, it's difficult to raise its temperature high enough to quickly kill the virus. So the researchers solved this problem by folding the foam, connecting multiple compartments with electrical wires to increase the resistance high enough to raise the temperatures as high as 250 degrees Celsius. So by making the filter electrically heated rather than heating it from external source, the researchers say that they minimize the amount of heat that escaped from the filter, allowing air conditioning to function with minimal strain. Pretty cool, I would have to say. So the prototype was built by a local workshop, and it was first tested at the Rennes lab for the relationship between voltage, current, and temperature, and it then was sent to the Galveston lab to be tested for its ability to actually kill the virus. And they said that it satisfies the requirements for conventional heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems. So this novel biodefense indoor air protection technology offers the first in-line prevention against environmentally mediated transmission of the airborne coronavirus and will be on the forefront of technologies available to combat the current pandemic and any future airborne biothreats in indoor environments. So that was the study of the co-author Dr. Faisal Kima from the UH College of Medicine. And the researchers are now calling for a phased rollout of the device, beginning with high priority venues where essential workers are at elevated risk of exposure. So schools, hospitals, healthcare facilities, also public transit is going to be, and airplanes as well. So if you want to find out some more information, a lot of it was published in this study called Materials Today Physics. So if you want to go read more about that, search it up on the internet. There's so much information for it. But I thought I would start today's episode with that because that I feel like is a big step forward. I think that's a pretty cool thing that we have officially discovered. All right, now I'm going to talk about another first of its kind clinical study that has found microdosing THC can reduce chronic pain. So for the very first time, researchers have conducted a clinical trial to demonstrate that extremely low and precise doses of inhaled THC can effectively relieve pain while avoiding the common side effects associated with cannabis use. So this study, which it was conducted by Israel MedTech team, and it was published in the European Journal of Pain just earlier this month. It's the first scientific confirmation that microdosing, the process of using extremely low doses of active drug compounds to treat various conditions, actually works with cannabis. So, although widely championed, there had been scarce scientific evidence to support or even fully explore the claims of microdosing benefits and the safety up until now. So the placebo-controlled, double-blind, multi-dose study was conducted at Rambam Medical Center in Israel and examined blood THC levels, pain relief, cognitive functions, and psychoactivity. So the study shows that an effective dose to relieve pain is just about 500 micrograms of THC. So these patients consume about 3 to 4 inhalations per day, each up to about 500 micrograms. And then a typical medical cannabis patient consumes 1 gram of 15% THC cannabis per day, which contains 150,000 micrograms of THC. So this illustrates a key finding from the study that patients can benefit from dramatically lower doses. Doesn't have to be high dose at all. So the company's specialized drug delivery platform marketed in Israel by the pharmaceutical giant called Teva, and it allows physicians and patients to select microgram level doses with precision. So these results are presumed to be due to the bioavailability enhancing technologies of this platform in conjunction with its selective dosing capabilities. So in addition to the CE approval now that's pending in Europe, they do believe that the published study and the actual patient use data in Israel will be an important part of the planned FDA submission in the U.S. So the medical CEO, Perry Davidson, says this study is the first to show that human sensitivity to THC is significantly greater than previously assumed, indicating that if we can treat patients with much higher precision and lower quantities of drug will be needed, resulting in fewer side effects and an overall more effective treatment. So this drug delivery technology is also applicable to opioids and other compounds that, while potentially effective, are notoriously associated with dangerous side effects, as we know. So the introduction of a tool to prescribe medications at such low doses with such high resolution may allow us to achieve treatment outcomes that previously were not possible. So these findings may allow the establishment of a long-awaited industry milestone, a standardized therapeutic window for cannabis inhalation by provably administering a precise doses measured in micrograms and quantifying diminishing therapeutic returns versus increased psychoactivity. So the study was able to document successful pain relief while minimizing potential debilitating psychoactive side effects. So the doses given in this study, being so low, mandate very high precision in the treatment modality. All right, it is time for a little bit of a break, but don't go anywhere. I have some pretty cool stories coming up to share with you, including how some brides across America are donating their wedding gowns to support the marriages of frontline healthcare workers. It's quite the heartfelt story. You don't want to miss it. Stay tuned. I'll be right back.
The GSMC Life and Happiness podcast takes you on a journey of exploration. We'll discuss tried and true methods alongside the latest trends of how to best live your life to its fullest and happiest. From psychology to meditation, science to self-help books, the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast will help you to discover what makes you happy and how you can live life being the best you possible. Download the GSMC Life and Happiness podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type GSMC in the search bar.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. All right, my next story for you is about the brides across America and how they are beginning to donate wedding gowns to support the marriages of frontline healthcare workers. So a nonprofit organization that's based in Massachusetts has begun donating bridal gowns to frontline healthcare workers who need a little more help with their wedding plans. So it's called Brides Across America, and they usually donate gowns to military couples or first responders. But of course, since the country's medical professionals are now risking their lives every day in the fight against the coronavirus, they've shown that they more than qualify as heroes in their own right. So they say, we just wanted to do something to give back and at least say, hey, we're thinking of you. So that was the founder, Heidi Jansen. She says they're putting their lives on the line just like the military or a first responder. So this was our way to give back to them. We just thought it lined up nicely with our mission. So every year since 2008, the BAA, so the Brides Across America, has donated around 2,000 wedding dresses, totaling about 25,000 gowns over their history, just to brides. So their headquarters is in Andover, Massachusetts, but for the heroes that are further away, they ship the dress collections to local boutiques or event spaces across the country, and they just hold events that allow future brides to browse the donations. So whenever BAA offers a beautiful free gown, it can take a huge burden off the shoulders of brides-to-be. You know how expensive wedding dresses can be. She says that these girls are just so happy. They're like, I'm working, I'm planning a wedding, I don't really have time to find a dress or the income to find a dress, and they just cannot believe that it's completely free. So this nonprofit is quite busy, and it just has 7 people doing it all to keep it up with demand. She said, we're pretty small, but we have a big mission. It's definitely hard, but we're trying our best to continue as much as we can with the current circumstances. So if you have a gown that's less than 5 years old and it's in good condition, consider donating it through their website. So it's the Brides Across America. So if you want to go over to their website and see if you can donate your dress, if you want to be a part of it, they have a bunch more information on their website. So I encourage you to go check that out. Now, my next story is pretty interesting. It's about 2 sturgeons that were caught in Georgia River to light the conservations who feared that the prehistoric fish to be extinct in Europe completely. So in the span of just 2 weeks, the juvenile sturgeon of 2 different species, both of which were feared as extinct, have been fished accidentally out of the river in the Republic of Georgia. So the 2 fish that were first caught in mid-March and the second that was 3 weeks later represent a glimmer of hope for the European sturgeon conservation and appeared after experts had already expressed fears that they may have disappeared forever. So the sturgeon are a primeval fish whose evolution dates back hundreds of millions of years, and the Rioni River in Georgia historically has been a basin of several different species. So with very little that's known about the ship sturgeon, but the fact that these 2 juveniles, each of them are similar in age, were caught in the span of 2 weeks is extremely exciting, that it could mean that they're a part of the same brood and that sturgeon continue to spawn in this river. So their discovery is also vindication for the work of Flora and Fauna International, the FFI. Their volunteers operate in the area and they're trying to save the sturgeon populations. So their community outreach goals of educating everyone in their community, literally from school children to fishmongers, this prehistoric fish was proven worthwhile as both of the juvenile sturgeon were caught and then reported to the FFI by the fishermen right away. So this allowed the conservationists to take samples, measurements, and photographs of the juvenile fish for research purposes. And then amazingly, a 3rd fish was caught a week after the 2nd and was identified tentatively as a Colgic sturgeon, which is just a different kind, although it could be possible to be a hybrid of some kind, they say, but this is all super positive news. So the sturgeon were once widespread in rivers all across Europe, but have been decriminated by the combination of habitat loss and degradation and overfishing due to their roe being harvested for centuries, for caviar actually. So it's not clear whether these ship or the sturgeon, which are long-lived and late-maturing fishes, are actively spawning in this river itself, but it is clear that the waters are providing a haven for those Amur-plated ships, and that the myth may live on in Europe thanks to these enduring protections. So positive news for these sturgeons, I guess, in Europe. Now, I wanted to share this cute little story that I found. Somebody projected a smile face on, like a cute little smiley face on the London's Parliament that's across from the hospital. Pretty cool. So it was just an image of a smiley face. It was just projected on the Houses of Parliament. And it's just to spread like an uplifting message of positivity during some tough times. So this was facing directly across the river from the hospital. It's 27 yards wide, this smiley face. So that can go a very long way in cheering people up, of course. So this lipstick-wearing smiley face was beamed onto this famous structure, and it was, I guess this is also maybe part of World Emoji Day, because, so this happened on the Thursday and World Emoji Day was on the Friday. So the positive image was in the full view of the St. Thomas Hospital, and it just stood as a reminder of how good it feels to smile. So the people that were passing by who just saw the images kind of brightened up their evening considerably. A bunch of them kind of reached out to some of the news outlets, and one of them said, "Seeing the smiley made me laugh. It's also opposite of the hospital, and you hope that people get to look out and see it." So everybody knows that we need more smiles right now, especially because it's hard to know if people are smiling behind their face mask. That's definitely the struggle right now. But just a kind of cool, uplifting, positive message, this giant 27-yard smiley face on the Parliament building. I do have to say, I've been like wearing my face mask, like walking around, like when I have to do errands and stuff like that, and it's so funny because normally when like someone would open the door for you, you like smile at them, like to thank them, like smile and wave, or like smile and nod, or thank you, right? And I forget that people can't see that I'm not smiling, and it like took me a while. I'm like, oh my god, people probably think I'm like not acknowledging nice things that they do. So we have to remember that people can't see our smiles under our face mask. We need to speak out loud and say thank you when we can. I'll smile and nod, or just, show my appreciation that way. And I just forget that with your face mask, no one can see what you're doing. But keep spreading kindness every single chance you get. Any kind of uplifting positivity is always a good thing. So wherever you go, remember to keep spreading kindness. I find that during this pandemic, there's actually been more kindness than ever. I think people are being more cautious with just being kind to each other because we've hit this whole new reality that, like, you know, I think we all kind of realized that we took things for granted, like being able to go out with your friends on a Friday night and do things, and being able to leave your house and not, you know, be scared, or just, you know, just knowing what tomorrow could look like a little bit better. Whereas right now we're still in this chaos of, you know, kind of what's happening. And of course, things are getting better, which is exciting. It feels like they're getting better at least, but it's always good to take your precautions and to still spread kindness every single chance you get, especially during this time. People are going through a very hard time with losing jobs and staying at home, being, you know, locked down, being alone, not being able to connect with friends, not being able to live your regular life that you're so used to. It's like we are kind of transformed into this new normal, but this new normal is quite freaky to me, and I'm actually kind of scared to get back to the so-called old normal. Like me right now, I'm like kind of getting comfortable with things being closed. I don't know if you're like that too, but it's kind of a weird feeling, almost as if I want the old normal, but I'm almost comfortable where I'm at. It's a weird feeling. Of course, it's exciting that things are opening up, but still remember to wear your mask and stay safe. And remember that people can't see your smiles under your mask, or you're like me who just feels like you're just not. No one knows that you're grateful for them opening up the door, or just, you know, having a smile on your face. It's just nice, right? So smile with your eyes as best as you can. All right, it is time for another break, but don't go anywhere. You already know it. I have some more feel-good, positive stories to share with you, and I can't wait to do so. So stay tuned.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Welcome back to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. All right, we are back, and I have a few more stories to share with you before the episode is up today. So this next one I want to share with you is about some high school students who launched a little project, and it's called Project Kind Packs, and it's to help elementary schools. So 2 students at Centennial High School in Frisco, they've just launched this campaign to share kindness with Dallas students who are in need at this time right now. So basically these Project Kind Packs, they gather school supplies, storybooks, classroom essentials, hygiene products, letters of encouragement for more than 300 teachers and elementary school students in Dallas ISD schools. So they say that the idea for the Project Kind Packs came during the peak of COVID-19 outbreak, and when students and teachers had to quickly adjust to an entirely new system of virtual learning, they thought that some people could use some extra kindness with their days. So they say that within these kind packs, they just want to spread kindness, words of encouragement, and motivation to these classrooms that they can fulfill their potential this coming school year and confidently transition into a normal learning environment. So these students are actually hoping to raise some more money. They're wanting to raise about $3,000 so they can give out more kind packs. So if you want to go be a part of these cute little kind packs that these elementary school people are doing, you can literally just go to, the website is, let me double check here, projectkindpacks.com, and you will get a bunch more information. They have a little cool video up and some more fun things to look at. So if you want to go donate to their kind packs, go head over to that website and definitely donate and help them out. So speaking of donations, this is pretty cool. Charitable donations in the U.S. Are giving a record amount as the support surges in the first 6 months of 2020. So donations have literally surged nearly 50% in the first half of 2020, which is the most generous giving record in the history of one of America's largest philanthropic funds. So basically, in the response to the immense needs created by the COVID-19 pandemic, a resulting economic downturn and a period of deep social unrest that we're all experiencing, well, Schwab charitable donors have been granting at a record pace to support impacted communities. Pretty awesome, right? So from January through June 2020, the donors marked about $1.7 billion in aid, marking a 46% increase in dollars granted compared to the same period last year. They doled out about 330,000 separate grants, which represents the fastest pace of growth in Schwab charitable history. They say that the last 6 months have been incredibly challenging, and I'm truly inspired to see donors utilize their donor advice funds to help communities and nonprofits impacted by health, economic, and social crisis. That was Kim Lotting, the president of Schwab Charitable. And a man named Dave, he manages his charitable giving through the company. He says the need within our country and around the world is greater than ever. Basic needs have dramatically increased, so to help provide some relief, we're giving more to our local food bank, church food pantry, and homeless shelters. They say in addition to supporting crisis relief efforts in this year of 2020, donors continued to express broad-based generosity in support of their favorite nonprofits. So in the last 12 months, Schwab noted that each generation, millennials, Generation X, baby boomers, and the greatest generation, saw an upkick in giving from the previous year, granting on average between 7 and 13 times throughout the year. Pretty cool, right? Donors fulfill a variety of philanthropic goals with their giving. And in this year of 2020, donors supported more than 100,000 charities, which is a 14% increase over the prior year. The most widely supported charities in this 2020 year included Feeding America, Doctors Without Borders, the Salvation Army, and Planned Parenthood. They say it's very encouraging to witness heightened levels of generosity from donors of all ages in supporting nonprofits across the philanthropic landscape this year. Pretty cool. Some good things come out of pandemics, people. Lots of donations been happening. That's what I'm saying. During all this chaos in our world, I just find there's been more kindness than ever, and it's so cool to see. And these numbers, literally a 50% increase in the donations, like that just says it right there. Like good things are still happening, kindness is still happening, people are still trying to take care of each other as a community, and it is so, so cool to see. Well, speaking of taking care of people through your community, there has been a drive-through job fair, and it's been helping unemployed workers find new jobs. So it's a staffing company in West Palm Beach, and it's just making it easier for job seekers to find employment, of course, amid the coronavirus. So it's called Express Employment Professionals, and it's basically developed this innovative hiring event to get people back to work, and it's literally a drive-through job fair. So keeping your social distance, keeping everybody safe, but getting those people, able to look for jobs still, right? So they said we really wanted to try and think outside the box and how we can attract new applicants. So that was Cameron Smith of the Express Employment Professionals, and the team braved the scorching heat this past little while to help put people back into work in Palm Beach County. They hosted their very first drive-through job fair, and this process is quite simple but very effective. They say we're doing an interview, kind of quick, a screening interview, then we basically trying to figure out what direction to head and have them go into our website and fill an application, and then they send their resume and get them a place. So the company works with a variety of local businesses, everything from warehouse jobs to administration work and informational technology. yeah, so there's lots of opportunities with there, and this company is just putting up these drive-through job fairs just to help people, even also just like get excited being able to search for a job, being able to apply for a job, because I know job interviews and going out and finding something right now is a little bit chaotic. But he says that, the past few months have been tough. People have been out of work and they've been stuck at home, and they just want to remain positive and try to spread as much positivity as they can and help each other out during this time. So the company says it will host their second drive-through job fair on August 6th, which has also been designated as National Interview Day. So on National Interview Day, if you are in this area, August 6th, go through the drive-through job fair and see if you can get a job, I guess. You can also visit the Express Employment Professionals website, and you can learn more, and you can also search for jobs on their website as well. If that isn't any help to you, I sure hope it is. But now I will end today's episode with a little bit of some scientific news study that came out. They say sea sponge found growing on the coral reefs of Indonesia contains an organic chemical that halts the cellular duplication of cancer tumors. So proof of this nature's healing power has been demonstrated in vitro in laboratories in the U.S. and Indonesia to inhibit the proliferation of cervical, prostate, and other cancer cells while also allowing normal healthy cells to continue to replicate. So it says it prevents cell replication rather than killing the cell outright, leading to immediate impacts on tumor growth, and then other drugs are useful for killing remaining tumor cells, or they may die on their own. This was from Mark Hammond, a professor with the Medical University of South Carolina's Department of Drug Discovery and Biomedical Sciences, and also he is the corresponding author on this study. So pretty interesting. So it's saying that since the sponges produce this molecule in high yields and it seems easy to grow, you could grow it in polluted waters near wastewater plants or river moss along the ocean, and it would potentially grow very well, actually. Well, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for listening to GSMC, America's Still Beautiful podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Alyssa Joe. I so appreciate you being here. You already know it's the best part of my day, sharing these stories with you. So please do not forget to hit that subscribe button so you are notified when there are new episodes, as well as don't forget to follow us on social media. I update those regularly. We got Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Go chat with me on there. I would love to chat with you, and do not forget to leave a 5-star review. I love reading them, and it helps out a ton. So thank you so much for listening and being here with me today. Remember to stay healthy, stay positive, and spread kindness every single chance that you get. Till next time, thank you.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast, part of the GSMC Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcasts on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Google Play, or anywhere you find podcasts. Just type in GSMC to find all of our shows. From the GSMC Podcast Network, from social media news to marketing news, and even weird news, the GSMC Podcast Network has you covered. You can also follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's episode of the Golden State Media Concepts, America's Still Beautiful podcast.